Every single history teacher told you the same story. Rome fell because barbarians invaded. But here's what they didn't tell you. The barbarians didn't destroy Rome. Rome destroyed itself, and the way it happened is almost identical to what's happening in the world right now. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at history the same way again. The Roman Empire was the greatest civilization the ancient world had ever seen. At its peak, Rome controlled over 5 million square kilometers of land. It had running water, paved roads, a legal system, and a professional army that hadn't lost a major war in centuries. Over 70 million people lived under Roman rule. And then, within 200 years, it was completely gone. But here's the question nobody asks. How does the most powerful empire in human history just collapse? The answer has 3 parts, and none of them are what your textbook told you. Let's start with money. Because this is where it all began. Running an empire is expensive. Rome had hundreds of thousands of soldiers to pay, roads to maintain, wars to fight on multiple borders at the same time. And for a long time, they could afford all of it, because they kept conquering new lands and taking the wealth from those lands. But here's the problem. At some point, Rome stopped expanding, and when the conquest stopped, the money stopped coming in. So what did Rome do? Exactly what broke governments do today. They started printing more money. Except back then, printing money meant melting down silver coins and mixing in cheaper metals, so they could make more coins with the same amount of silver. In 100 AD, a Roman silver coin was about 90% pure silver. By 300 AD, that same coin was less than 5% silver. The result? Prices exploded. Merchants stopped trusting Roman coins. Soldiers demanded to be paid in food and goods instead of money because the currency was worthless. Sound familiar? This is called inflation, and Rome's inflation got so bad that Emperor Diocletian had to pass a law capping prices on over 1,000 goods, including food, clothing, and labor. It didn't work. Prices kept rising, the economy kept shrinking, and the empire kept getting weaker from the inside, long before a single barbarian crossed the border. Now let's talk about the politics, because this is where things get really interesting. In its early days, Rome had a system that worked. Leaders were chosen, checked, and balanced. No one person had too much power. But over time, that system broke down completely. Between 235 AD and 284 AD, a period historians call the crisis of the 3rd century, Rome had over 50 different emperors in just 50 years. Think about that. That's almost one new emperor every single year. Most of them were military generals who seized power by force, and most of them were assassinated by the next general who wanted the throne. There was zero stability. Every time a new emperor took over, he brought his own people, his own policies, and his own enemies. The Senate, which was supposed to guide the empire, became completely powerless. Laws changed constantly. Corruption spread everywhere. Local governors started acting like independent rulers because there was no strong central government telling them what to do. And here's the thing about corruption in government. It's like a hole in a boat. A small hole you can manage, but when nobody fixes it and everyone starts making their own holes, the whole boat sinks. That's exactly what happened to Rome. The government became so corrupt and so unstable that ordinary Roman citizens stopped trusting it completely. They stopped paying taxes. They stopped supporting the army. Some of them actually welcomed the barbarian invaders because they thought anyone would be better than the Roman government they were living under. Let that sink in. Roman citizens, people born inside the empire, were rooting for the outside invaders. That is how badly the political system had collapsed. Now here's the part that almost nobody talks about, and honestly, it might be the most important factor of all. Disease. Between 165 AD and 180 AD, a plague swept through the Roman Empire that historians now call the Antonine Plague. It killed an estimated 5 million people. Then, before Rome even recovered, Another plague hit between 249 AD and 262 AD, the plague of Cyprian. At its peak, this disease was killing 5,000 people per day in the city of Rome alone. 5,000 people, every single day. The empire lost so many soldiers that Rome could no longer defend its own borders with Roman citizens. So what did they do? They started hiring Germanic barbarian warriors to fight in the Roman army. Think about how dangerous that decision was. You are so desperate for soldiers that you start recruiting the very people you're supposed to be fighting against. And those Germanic soldiers, they didn't have loyalty to Rome. They had loyalty to their own tribes, their own leaders, their own people. So when the time came, when Rome was weak enough, many of them simply switched sides. The combination of economic collapse, political chaos, and devastating disease had left Rome completely hollow. It looked powerful from the outside, but on the inside, it was already dead. The barbarians didn't conquer a strong empire. They walked into the ruins of one. Here's what makes this story so haunting. Rome didn't fall because of one bad event. It fell because of 100 small failures, each one making the next one worse. Bad money led to economic collapse. Economic collapse led to political instability. Political instability led to corruption. Corruption led to military weakness. Military weakness left the door open for disease and invasion. It was a chain reaction. And the most terrifying part, every single warning sign was visible decades before the final collapse. Roman historians were writing about these problems while they were happening. People knew, leaders knew, but nobody fixed it in time. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it rhymes. And if you know the pattern, you can see it coming. So, let me ask you something. We talked about currency losing its value. We talked about political instability and leaders nobody trusts. We talked about empires stretching themselves too thin. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely want to know what you think. And if this video made you see history differently, hit that subscribe button. Because every single week, we dig into the stories that your history teacher never had time to tell you. The real stories, the hidden stories, the ones that actually matter. I'll see you in the next one.